It's time to present Scott DuPont to bring you another episode of Finance Your Movie with tips and strategies to help you get your money to tell your story. It's time!
Okay, we're back. This is a follow-up to the movie Follow Her. I'm here with Sylvia Caminer, director, producer, and Michael Indjeian, who is producer. Welcome.
Thank you, Scott. It's fun to be back. Appreciate it.
So
Thank
just a quick refresher, and I would encourage everyone to go back to episode 248 because I learned a lot from Sylvia's years and years of experience raising money and doing lots of not only documentaries but narratives as well. And just to recap very, very quickly, and then I'll turn it over to you, Sylvia. The way we left it is you had raised the bulk of the money for Follow Her, and we said goodbye. We parted ways. You say, I got to go raise a bunch more money for marketing, promotion, get the movie out.
Right.
So maybe we can do a follow-up. So here we are. Remind us how much you had to raise and how that went.
Oh my goodness. What was the date of the screen? Do you remember? Was it in 2020? Anyway.
It was at least a year ago.
Okay. So I think we were raising post money. And so Michael and I and Chris Gaunt, who's one of our executive producers, it was actually, I think, Chris's idea to do something called WeFunder. I don't think we talked
a little bit about that. I think
Yeah.
you were going to do it.
Okay. So yeah, so we spent a lot of effort. That's like a full-time job and you need your whole team. So we spent a lot of time, but I think we raised about 65K. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah, it was around that.
Right. And, we all helped, Danny included. I know Michael pulled in a couple of big what was that, like the last day or two, you had a couple people come in who really helped. But yeah, so there's a lot of creative and interesting ways. And the nice thing with WeFunder, rather than just a traditional crowdfund, is that they're actually investors in the movie. So if this movie makes money, when it makes money, they'll get their share.
Game changing. And I have no doubt that this movie will. I mean, I love the trailer, but I mean, the critics are already lighting it up. I mean, on Rotten Tomatoes, you're over 80%, 87%, I think. A lot of great movie critic reviews. So I've heard a lot of buzz about the film. So that was all done on WeFunder, that 65K
the last little
or so?
chunk to help with,
Okay.
to help with some of post and marketing and stuff like that. Yeah.
So
it really helped put us over the edge. We were at a point where we needed to, which was also a great point because we also invited the community to own a piece of the film. So there's a lot more people became invested in the film, just spiritually, emotionally, and also financially, which really helped us get into the final. We saw the finish line because of WeFunder,
Right.
basically.
So 2 questions, and I'll start with you, Michael. What was kind of the lowest denomination, like $100 or $200 where people could come in? And what did you learn through this process?
Was that 200, Michael? Did we?
I think it was. The lowest donation or investment. I think it was up to. Gosh, I think it was at least $100. It might have been whatever you wanted to put in, but I think at least $100 or something like that, or 200.
Yeah.
It was in that neighborhood.
Okay, which is great because a lot of people can't afford to put $5,000 or $10,000 minimum into regular film.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, anything to help us achieve our goal is appreciated. $100, $200, it didn't matter. I mean, it was just building, it was just expanding our community, overall, but all of those, everything helped. I mean, we raised almost $68,000 and it all adds up, just all of that stuff adds up.
And anything
we actually found also that people who were donating a little bit early on, when we were close to achieving our goal, came back and redonated even more. So that was really heartwarming as well.
So if someone maybe invested 100 or $500, some of those people will come back and increase their investment. That's what you're saying?
They did, because we were, I think early on, like right out of the gate, we were trying to make a dent and but we had a set of goal. I don't remember what the goal was off the top of I don't know if it was 50K or something like that.
It was.
And we were getting close to that, and the deadline was looming. So we did a little bit of a marketing push to just include, just to let everyone know that, hey, we're getting close to our goal. The deadline is looming. We need your help. And we blew past our deadline just by previous investors also coming back to give more and helping us, blow past the finish line. So that was great.
So
Yeah.
Sylvia, you're really, really active. I see you promoting Follow Her, which is the main movie you're doing right now, on social media. How big of a part do you think that played, your social media, or was it in addition to calling people, reaching out, emailing? What did you learn from this first WeFunder campaign?
We weren't as active then on social media. Like, I've really learned in the last year, and I still struggle with it a little bit, but I think we were active because I know everybody. Like, I can't even tell you how much the small little team was posting and trying to reach out to people. And, we had a flyer going around. So it's an excitement, enthusiasm, and then we were sharing little private clips, that were only for the investors to maybe get them more excited or to tell people. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a buzz, and kind of like what Michael said, it's the long haul. And I think it was the last like 3 days, we made like 15K. So we made almost 25% of our entire raise, which I think was 45 days, in 3 days. And I think there was a momentum and an excitement building. And then I will say, after that, Chris Gaunt, our executive producer, he came in with 2 big ideas: WeFunder and getting us local press near where we shot. And there was an interview or a story came out in a Woodstock, New York paper. And that led to one of our biggest investors, a company called Tall Pines Entertainment. And so they and WeFunder really, pushed us over the line. And then actually a friend of mine, Al Messina, brought in another investor. So it all kind of like, I think it all kind of like sparked each other.
I remember seeing that local article because I think you might have posted it later on social media. Now, did you get any investors directly from that article?
We did. Somebody reached out. I can't remember. We may have talked about this, but somebody reached out and said, "Hey, this sounds fascinating. I might be interested." And, you're like, "Yeah, right." Because we also got other people that said the same and nothing came of it. But yeah, so they did reach out. We had a rough cut at that point. But we spent, we had a hefty budget for visual effects, and we were using a great post house called Anarchy Post, who really specializes in genre films. And so, we were spending some money to try to make the film, look and sound as good as possible and have that polished look. So we ended up sharing the film. Yeah.
Just based on the trailer, it looks amazing. So Michael, this was really, you've done a few shorts, you've done some TV stuff, co-producer, associate producer. Was this kind of the biggest project that you kind of came on board as a producer?
Yes, this definitely was the biggest project that I got a chance to be one of the producers for. And this is a credit to Sylvia. Sylvia and I have worked together for some time. And when when Follow Her came to her and she decided that she was going to direct it, she approached me about producing the film with her. And so I was obviously I was excited and somewhat terrified at the same time, but I knew it was a threshold that I needed to pass through to grow as a filmmaker. And I have to say that I'm thrilled to be a part of the film as one of the producers and help contribute to what we accomplished. I mean, you saw the trailer. there's a lot of buzz about it. It's a great credit to what Sylvia brought to the table, but it was for me to help realize this film behind the scenes was really gratifying.
Sylvia
Yeah.
can be very, very convincing.
Michael's being humble because frankly, I couldn't have imagined making the movie without him. You know, I had directed nonfiction and unscripted stuff, and I knew I would never be able to totally hang up my producing hat, but I knew I needed someone that I could, when I needed to, not even think about it and not worry about, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And I knew Michael could totally handle it and I would not have any stress about it. So he really took the lead, you know, especially all through production. And he was he's got a very calming presence, but also very authoritative. You know, there's no nonsense, but it's with kindness. You know, I would never work with, you know, a very heavy-handed producer who makes people nervous, you know, but it was a very smooth. I think we get along so well because we have worked together for, it's going on some years. You know, the first film we did together was a film with Harvey Keitel called Chosen that we worked on the US side of it. But yeah, so it was I hope the first of many more features.
So Michael, this was kind of really your, not the first rodeo, but during this whole process from the start, just reaching out to equity investors and then later on the WeFunder campaign, any takeaways, anything that you learned through this whole process when dealing with investors and bringing in some money that you can share? And remember, these are a lot of the people that listen to this podcast or are watching right now. They're people just out of film school, first timers, or maybe a second time feature. They've done $100K budget, but they want to ramp up to a $500,000 $1 million budget. What's some advice for them? Because you just did it. You got to the finish line.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, when you're coming out of film school, when you're new to the business, everyone is a filmmaker. Everyone wants to be a director. They're very creative oriented, but there's the whole business side that no one wants to be a part of or think about. I was the same way. I mean, but let's be fair that without that, movies don't get made. I bring even though this was the first feature that I produced, I bring a great deal of production experience. So I was not nervous about, hey, we're shooting 25 days or whatever, how many days. It's just, to me, it was just more days. You know, I'm used to working big crews and working with a lot of cast, and that didn't make me nervous. I mean, for me, the big takeaway was I learned a great deal watching, you know, working alongside Sylvia, because she's produced many films before, and, you know, bringing in investors and things like that is a delicate thing when you're asking people to, you know, invest thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars for an idea, a script that's on a piece of paper that, you know, do you have the right people to handle this? I think that's the biggest thing, is exemplifying that you have a strong creative idea, a strong script, but also, more importantly, in capable hands, people who have the experience, you know, between, you know, like, for example, Sylvia has such a great track record as a producer, that she's made successful films before. So that's a big plus. She brings a great deal of experience. I bring a great deal of experience on the production side. So I think it's important to, you know, just to have a strong creative idea, but also have the capable people who can execute that idea in a you know, in a financially responsible way.
I tell people this all the time. And one of the, you know, I don't know if it was just luck or I had a good intuition, but my very first feature on this young kid with basically no experience except one short, we brought in a seasoned supervising producer with gray hair who had years and years of experience.
Yeah.
And that's how we raised $1 million. So I think what
Wow.
you said is spot on. You got to have a great team. I mean, the years of experience with you and Sylvia combined, that's a lot of trying to think of the right word that a potential investor would feel. Like they would feel, hey, my money's in good hands. These guys have experience.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Sylvia?
I would just say, yeah, first time feature makers or even shorts, might be intimidated by a very experienced, say, DP or producer or production designer, but you want everyone to be more experienced than you. If they're a generous person, like you do have to be a little careful that they're not going to come in and take over. But I do think, you want to make sure that you see eye to eye, that they respect your vision for the film, but also be ready to take ideas. I mean, I think I'm a very open director. I want to welcome, I asked Michael for a lot of his input. Danny was very involved. I mean, Alex, our editor, John Gallagher, who was a mentor of mine, he passed sadly, but he had looked at some early versions. And the other thing I would just say about raising money is that filmmakers, there's two bits of advice everyone's going to tell you. Don't make a movie unless you're fully funded or have distribution. And then the opposing is just get going, make your movie. I have often had to lean more on the second, bit of advice, because sometimes you just have to go. I mean, I don't really recommend it. It'd be better if you can have all your money lined up, if you can get your names, which, but at some point you just have to make your movie. And that's kind of what we decided to do with this. We didn't have all the money. We knew we had our male lead. He was getting busy on a Netflix show. And so we kind of just decided, like, we're just going to go. We're going to jump off the cliff, get this middle 50 minutes done. And I don't know that, Mike, I don't know what you think, but we might never have made the movie if we had waited for everything to be perfect, for all of the money to be in. I have a feeling it was risky, and it was risky for our investors, because we were spending a good chunk of the money, not having all of the money, not knowing we were going to have to come back. God forbid something happens. But for us, thank goodness it worked out.
It's funny, Sylvia, that you say that, because, earlier, you asked me, how did it feel to be a first-time producer? And this is the experience I had. We don't have all the money, but we're just going to go. So it's like, okay, like, strap on the seatbelt and let's go. But to Sylvia's point, we had sometimes I've learned over the years, for any project, whether it's a commercial, whether it's for TV, the longer you wait, projects just go away. They don't happen. And when they collect dust, they just go away. So here we had enough money to shoot a bulk of the film upstate New York with one of our prime cast members, Lou Cook, because of his availability. Now, we just said, we don't have enough money to do the whole film, but we're going to do this and get this in the can. Now, that really helped us because, number one, we were able to film that, get that in the can, but also take that footage and cut something together to help raise more money to shoot the opening and close of the entire film. So that was beneficial to us. And it also allowed us to just get the bulk of the film in the can, so to speak, and say, okay, wow, this is what we got. Now we have to shift gears, because the rest of the film was predominantly shot in New York City. So we were able to shift gears, take a step back, know what we had, and re-examine the front and back of the film, and from a financial standpoint, but also from a creative standpoint. Yeah. So I think this film is better because of the way it was handled. If we did it in one shot, I don't know if it's the same film.
It's not. To Danny Barker, the writer, and she also plays Jess, and she's also a producer. To her credit, she's a great writer to work with, because nothing is precious to her. Like, she's not one of those writers like, oh my God, stop changing the words. No, we were encouraging Luke Cook, who's brilliant at improv, to just have at it. And some of the funniest lines, she'll admit, are from him. And we did so much workshopping on the script for the beginning and the end to just adjust it to what happened in the biggest part of the movie. And, things always come out a little different than maybe the writer envisioned. And so then we had to adjust. And there was kind of a big surprise that Danny, as Jess, the character, was not really expecting that. Tom and I, Luke Cook and I, had kind of talked a little bit about taking the film a little further and a little bit more extreme. So she was, a bit caught off guard, but loved it. And I think that's part of why the last little bit with him is so strong.
I think that's a model you're seeing more and more of, where people, they're holding enough money in escrow or raising enough money to basically do 80 or 90% of the actual film. and then they'll use that film, a rough cut, to fill in some holes, do the post-production marketing like you guys did.
Right.
So anyway, congratulations. I can't wait to see it. And for all our audience, because there's a lot of buzz on Follow Me, where and when can people see this movie?
So it comes out June 2nd. And you can follow us on social media at Follow Her Film. And it's going to be in select theaters. It's going to be everywhere you can buy or rent movies. So, you know, from Amazon to Apple TV to iTunes to Vudu to Google Play, all of those places. And then I'll let Michael give you his handles. On Instagram, I'm at Dolger Films. That's my company name. And on Twitter, I'm just Sylvia at Sylvia Caminer. And yeah, please check out the film if you like it. Rate it on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and spread the word. Opening weekend is, you know, incredibly important, and the first, you know, few weeks. So Michael, tell them about a little bit about where to find you.
For me on Instagram, I am at Giddy Productions. That's my company, at Giddy Productions on Instagram. On Twitter, I'm at Giddy Way. But yeah, that opening weekend is very important to us. You know, if you haven't had a chance to see the trailer, take a look at it. I mean, there are films being shown all the time, and with, you know, hey, with the writer strike going on right now, content is at a premium. So if you want to watch something original, please check out Follow Her, because a lot of effort went into it. I'm really proud of the work we did, and it's not because I worked on the film. Sylvia did an amazing job along with Danny Barker, and we're really proud of what we just want everyone to enjoy it.
Well, it looks like a really timely film too. I mean, I'm just excited about kind of the story. Can you spell Giddy for us? Giddy Film? Is that Giddy?
Sure, it's correct. It's at Giddy Productions. It's at GIDDY Productions. Giddy, like I'm giddy.
Awesome.
I'm giddy to do this film. So.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Sylvia and Michael, and go check out. It's at Follow Her Film. And thanks so much, guys.
Correct.
Really appreciate your
Thanks,
coming
Scott.
on. With
Really enjoy your show.
Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. And remember, it's time!
There's never been a better time to make your own indie film. And if you have a dream project you're excited about and 100% committed to getting it funded, go to financeyourmovie.com and click on the green telephone button. You'll see our calendar, and if you find an open spot, grab it. You'll get a one-on-one call with me or one of my partners. It will be the best hour you've ever spent getting clarity and strategy towards financing your movie. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.